Welcome to Lickin' on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lickin, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lickin' on Lending. Now your host, David Lickin.
Listeners, I'm excited about today's guest that we have, Bill Inman. He is an entrepreneur, executive, investor of over 25 years of experience in developing startups into many successful enterprises that have generated significant revenue. And he's got a new idea that he's working on right now, but we're going to get a little more insights into his background from him. Bill, so good to have you joining us. Thank you so much.
Hey, David, nice to be here with you today. I am not in my normal Las Vegas, where my home base is. I'm actually near Cincinnati, Ohio, visiting my daughter for her 26th birthday. So,
very
you talk
good.
About 20 years of experience. So I have 26 as a dad, and I can't believe how fast it's gone by.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, especially the dad part. It goes so quickly and all the aspects of that journey. I've got a 27-year-old who just gave us our third grandchild. So that happened here recently. But Bill, I really appreciate you taking time while you're visiting your family to come on with us, because what we're going to talk about today, Bill, is so innovative. And one of the things I've been looking at, all of the things you've done, you've always been on the cutting edge of technology and the things that have developed. And so give us a little idea of some of the things you have done real briefly. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I want to talk about what you're doing now, but just to give a little bit of a resume background, what are some of the things you have done that have done so well?
Thank you for the intro, and glad to be here. And of course, I've seen a lot of your work, and it's amazing how long you have helped people and how much you help people. We had the chance to meet in Las Vegas recently and talk a lot about work and life and innovation. And I'm really thankful for basically a career so far that's spanned a couple decades. Being on the forefront of technology, I think that's a theme throughout my career is I'm always trying to find out what's next and bringing it to business to help people. And a lot of what we'll talk about today is a buzzword for sure and overused probably, but super important and people don't understand it enough, and that's artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So it's making a big impact. So I've spent a couple decades. I've raised about $200 million for idea stage companies, meaning not seed stage, but just ideas, straight up ideas.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are ideas either I came up with. I've started companies that have, as an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, that have gone from 0 to over 3 billion. I've exited many companies, sold a couple years ago, a blockchain AI company to job.com, which was really innovated in that space.
I remember hearing about that. That was really innovative. That was so cool.
That in that particular company, resumes are 70% of resumes have false information. So we use blockchain to store an immutable record of a resume. It's like a permanent database. So those resumes couldn't be faked, and job.com liked it so much that they bought the technology. But the thing is, never before, after all these years of innovation and being a part of stuff and getting patents and buying and selling companies and being a part of transactions, never before has the opportunity for technology to affect everybody's lives been more true than today. And that's because of artificial intelligence mainly. What's
really interesting, especially you and I met at Pavan's event in Las Vegas, and that's really what some of the things we're talking about. I'm really excited about the partnership that you have developed with Pavan and how he saw what you're doing. He goes, I got to have this inside of Angel AI. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But so AI is definitely changing our world. And we talk about personal AI, and you are the one that you and Pavan both introduced this concept to me, but I'd like to have that explained. What is personal AI in reality and practicality as far as how it's being used?
Yeah, I have a book in the process, David, that basically is named Take AI Personal. And so it's a double entendre. And number one, take it personal in that you got to do something about it for yourself. We'll talk about that. But also we need to take the AI that we're using personal to us. So I want to give you a few baselines.
When you say that, when you mean take it personal to us, is it we're using it personally, or is it we're putting ourselves into that AI to a degree so it represents us? Explain, give a little more.
I guess it's a triple entendre. Yeah. We need to take AI personal. We need to do something about it. We need to use it for our own use, but we need to train it on us. So I'm talking about the latter. We need to train AI on us.
That's really why it's a good distinction, by the way. Repeat that one more time. We need to use AI.
That's taking it personal.
That's taking it personal.
We need to make it, we need to do it urgently. Take it personal. Like, we better do something about this today.
Yep.
But for this call, we need to make it our own. We need to train AI on us. And that's probably the most important thing from a practical standpoint we could do. Yeah. Okay. Why is that important? Why do it at all? What's happening is that for eons and eons, and this is not something that everybody in the world doesn't know, including a 2-year-old, humans have talked to humans.
Yes.
With OpenAI and ChatGPT, humans are talking to AI now, right? You were asking AI questions, AI is responding. Several billion people are users of OpenAI and ChatGPT now, for example. And of course, there's DeepSeek and Llama and a whole bunch of other models. What the future holds, and I don't mean 10 to 20 years, 10 to 20 months, is that our AI that we train will talk to other AIs on our behalf. And those AIs will do things for us. And so the key question I want to focus on today is...
I'm wrapping my head around this because your AI can talk to my AI and do things for us. That we talk to GPT. We're talking to that. I got that down. But having our training that GPT, or we're going to talk about your twin, that's where we're really going with this, is now talking, we have the avatars talking to us for a better, the AI is talking to each other. I'm just so excited to get into this and the practical realities of what this is. I want to get into the real world use cases for how this works.
Yeah, it is exciting, and humans are talking to AI, and our AIs will talk to AIs, and avatars will be there, meaning the interface of the AI being human-like, like you, David, or me, happening. Like we've been working recently since we started talking in Vegas about creating your own personal twin. Yeah. That has all of your knowledge, all of the thousands of podcasts you've done over the years. That's probably one of the biggest databases of mortgage and lending knowledge in the world. So we're going to add that to a twin, and people will be able to talk to your photorealistic twin that looks like you and ask questions, but only from your information, not from ChatGPT. So everybody needs that. Everybody. Not, okay, that's great for David because he's talked to thousands of people and been doing this for 20 plus years. Everybody has to have it because your AI will talk to other AIs on your behalf, from buying groceries to retrieving the car, which is an AI interface. Avatars are an AI interface. So is a car. It's basically, most of Tesla's value comes from the fact that they're an AI company with a car interface. So our AI's but in business, and to hit what we're doing with Pavan Agarwal, who's been on your show a few times, obviously, and I believe is the sponsor. Yes. And is one of the most fantastic men that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot, and women for that matter. Yep. Amazing. Is that your twin can be, totally agree, doesn't need to be doing what he is doing it for the benefit of humanity, and that's what we love so much. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. Is that your AI as a real estate broker, a real estate agent in finance and lending can be talking to customers about the lending process, about how to get a loan, about mortgage approvals while you're working on something else. And that scares a lot of people because a lot of people are like, am I going to be relevant anymore? The fact of the matter,
especially when you start realizing you could train technology and AI to represent you. When do I become irrelevant?
You don't. What happens though is, so let's just put it this way. I want to use another analogy that we can all relate to. Without electricity, what kind of business would we be in? You could still do farming, right? You could live by candlelight and do farming and go back to the 1800s, and people existed like that forever. But electricity has allowed us to obviously drive and have automated products, and eventually it became the internet, and now we're talking about AI. And AI is a utility like that. So imagine if you approached your business, I'm not going to do this with a computer, newfangled computers. I'm not doing this. People said that. I'm not using a newfangled computer, or I'm not using electricity. That's like what you're going to say if you say I'm not using AI. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah. People that use AI will be able to do more with less effort. They'll be able to make more with less effort. By training an AI for whether you're in finance or mortgage or lending, that AI will talk and answer questions to people on your behalf. It'll help get people approved for a mortgage. And what do? We develop relationships. We do the human part of it. We can spend our time more on caring about people and listening and helping people, and not so much on the paperwork. That long story short there.
It's really good. I can't wait to dive into that even further because it's really, then you touched on something that I want to get into. And it says it's really the reason we started talking here again since we met in Las Vegas. We've actually met a couple of times, but it really I started getting what you're doing. And that's where I go, and I've got this issue. I've got IP. I've got intellectual property that I've created. And I'm trying to always figure out how to capitalize on that without giving it away. And you say, Dave, I got the solution. We're going to put it in a database. We're going to put it into our system. You will own it, and people can ask questions of that knowledge base, and let's set it up for you. And that's what opened my eyes. Listeners, I want to give you a little testimony here. So I get on a call last week with Bill. He says, Dave, let's give me your LinkedIn profile. Went in and he scraped it and brought it into his technology. The next thing he says is, give me a couple other things. We uploaded, I think maybe been a podcast or two about something having to do with warehouse lending. And you said, let it process. We're going to talk here. 10 minutes later, up pops my picture on my profile from my LinkedIn profile, listeners. And we had a database we could then, or a knowledge base, not database, a knowledge base, which we could query. And we asked it a question about warehouse lending. All of a sudden, the picture, listeners, of me on LinkedIn, my mouse started moving. It became animated, and it was synced perfectly to my words. And here's the best part. It created a conversation about warehouse lending that was better than I could have put it together. It was amazing. And I want you to explain this, because this is the power of so with listeners, as you're thinking, what is your IP? What is your intellectual property? I do loans in a certain way. I think I have a process that's somewhat different. And we all have a different process of how we do this. Listen to what I just said about what I did with LinkedIn and how he brought it in. And now I realize I can now consult on warehouse lending, which is one of the things I consult on. I can now consult to unlimited number of people making an inquiry, and I'm not on the call. How does that happen, Bill?
It happens because of the data about you. So the AI is, I'm going to keep this like real simple. AI is 4 things. It's compute power, CPUs, GPUs. We hear about NVIDIA more than we probably like to these days. It's algorithms,
right?
Pattern matching software that reads data and makes sense of it. It's training data. That's where we'll talk about that more in a second. And it's interfaces, whether it's a report or an avatar or a chatbot, whatever it might be. So what has happened with AI so far is that, long story short, big tech has for years extracted data from us, from our email programs, our document programs. So and we sign a user agreement that says, I'm going to give you access to my data and a worldwide irrevocable perpetual license, whether you're Mr. Beast and posting content on YouTube or whether we're uploading information via email, whatever. The big central tech powers can use our data to create AI, and they did. And everybody got real upset recently, if you might have seen in the news, when DeepSeek basically borrowed all of ChatGPT's data, OpenAI, and created a new model. They're like, we do it faster and cheaper. Yeah, because you built it on top of ChatGPT's model, which it built on top of our data.
Yes.
So now we're entering an era that if you're just going to continue to take my data, I'll use your free stuff, then you're going to miss out on the point. We need to take our data as simple, Dave, as basically your LinkedIn, your podcasts, a few white papers that you've written and things like that, and you've got yourself a twin that can speak about your knowledge base. When you give that away to other people, they suck in your knowledge base. Can you imagine, Dave, basically saying, you know what? I'm just going to give all the data to my podcast over to Google, and they're going to create an AI on lending with all my stuff, and they're not going to pay me on it, but I like using their word processor. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So that applies, that's not just you, that applies to everybody in life.
Yeah.
If you're in real estate and you own a micro niche, I'm in Cincinnati at my daughter's place. If Cincinnati better than everybody else, where the parks are, where the schools are, what a 2-bedroom costs, do you need to live next to the river? That's IP that you have spent building your whole entire life and your career. You need to own that. Your AI needs to be sharing that with people, because what will happen is, and we've seen this with the Zillows and the Redfins of the world, they started to attack the real estate market by aggregating data, driving traffic and eyeballs to them, even to the point where they started to create real estate competitors, which was neither here nor there. Right. But that's what's going to happen with our knowledge. So if you're in real estate, you need to own your niche, you need to take your IP, and you need to put it in your own database that people access for your own benefit. Otherwise, as I coined this the other day, The IP, the big tech sees it as my P. It's my property now. You gave it to me, and I'm going to use it against you.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is you reclaiming your intellectual property. You gave some great examples. You say, well, I don't have intellectual property. Yes, you do. Everybody has intellectual property. And that's the number one thing. You've been giving it up, listener, for so many years, you don't even realize it's intellectual property. And they've been scraping it and using it. Now you have the ability to reclaim that data. And then what starts getting exciting is train your own AI, your proprietary data, knowledge, and you're able to let it come out through this technology, and you can get paid for that. Or if you choose to give it away, that's right. Talk about that, Bill. This is really, real use cases for what it can do for a loan officer, a realtor, or anyone in virtually any market.
Absolutely. Vertical. So let's take a loan officer, for example. So by training your AI, let's say you spend a lot of time driving clients to you and you find a way to develop relationships. And let's say that at 11 o'clock at night, a potential lender has a question about their loan or their interest rate, or do they qualify? So are you going to answer the phone if you're a loan officer at 11 at night? You may, because you really need to make money. You want to be different. You want to show personal touch, but you might be asleep. So now that potential lender can talk to your twin and all the questions can be answered in your human-like interface. Believe it or not, it builds trust just by being there, having the voice, having the likeness. And then that person's not calling the second potential lender and going, I couldn't get that person, let me talk to you. Now that could be happening during lunch, let alone at 11 o'clock at night. So humans talking to AI to help push the deal forward, that's one thing. But let's just take this 24 months, 36 months down the road. When a buyer now is using AI, or a lender, potential lender, right, or a person wanting a loan, is using AI saying, here's what I'm looking for, here's my qualification, and let's say they start with Angel AI, and they have a credit score of 550. First of all, Pavan's company, Angel AI, can help boost their credit to 650 or 700, number one, exactly through AI. Number two, then it's going to find the right loan officer for them to work with if they don't have one already. If you don't have AI as a loan officer that can communicate with that person's AI, you'll never know about it. It's just like saying in 2002, you know what? I do this loan officer thing on my own. I don't need a website. I don't need anything to do with the internet. I'll door knock because I know that I can knock people. People don't answer doors anymore. Great example, yes. So it's AI speaking to AI that's coming. You need to be prepared for, and it's like having a website. Without it, people won't find you.
I couldn't believe it because yesterday when we were on a prep call and you said, let me give you an example, Dave. Let me have this AI talk to your AI and ask questions. And I literally watched another AI of another person start asking questions of my AI, and they were going back and forth in a very cogent conversation, getting deep in information that was so well put together. It was astounding. Talk about the economic potential in this. You and I said something about $15 trillion economic value coming out.
The macro factors and the studies that have been done is that AI brings $15 trillion of new money and productivity into the global market. So people are like, 15 trillion, that sounds like a lot. Even I can't, it's hard to conceptualize it.
Right.
So 15 trillion is the size of the entire global food market. Every seed, every restaurant, every food delivery truck, everything that has to do with food in the world is 15 trillion. So imagine this, like today, there's no more food industry in the world. It's wide open. You can grow food tomorrow, no problem, but there's no farms, so somebody's got to start one. There's no restaurants, there's no supermarkets. Imagine the gold rush that would happen from people going, oh my God, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, let's just create a supermarket. And then imagine how many millions of dollars that one supermarket is. The AI production in the world is the size of the entire food industry, and not many people are in it. So are we just going to sit back and you can't sit back. So certainly on the level of, let's say, a Monsanto or a global food distributor, you have the Microsofts, the OpenAIs, and what have you. But what about your local market? Are you going to let nobody, is nobody going to come in and create a restaurant or a convenience store or a place to buy milk? It's going to happen. So it's like, that's a wide open blue ocean, 15 trillion. So that's opportunity. It's not something to be scared of. It's like, I'm getting there first. Yeah. And all you got to do is take AI personal, start using it.
Yeah. It's that first mover advantage that you have, and it's going to get quickly discovered. It's being discovered. Many are. Maybe not as many in the financial services area, and specifically in real estate lending, but it is going to happen. And when it does, the part that scares me the most for our current industry are those that are sleeping at the switch, and someone outside of our industry is going to come in and beat our industry at their own game faster because of what's already out there in knowledge.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of interesting stats, and I'm trying to ground it to not go too esoteric on us, but I will tell you this, that computer science students at UC Berkeley, which generally have job offers way before they graduate, even a year before, they're leaving college without job offers and jobs now. I'm not talking about Cal State Dominguez Hills, which is a great school where I grew up. I'm talking about UC Berkeley. Wow. I'm talking about creme de la creme. So those kids, when they get out smart, no technology, you think they might look at the largest asset class in the world, real estate, $230 trillion of real estate, and go, I think I'm going to plant a flag here. They're going to bring AI. They're not going to know real estate, but do they need to? Because the AI has all the data they need to actually get there. They're going to create synthetic influencers. They're going to bring AI. They're going to get in the market. So we can stay, like my grandfather used to say, and I think about, we don't have to get involved with all this newfangled stuff. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of kids that are hungry for their part of the American dream that are going to bring their technical knowledge into every industry, including the biggest.
That's so good. You said synthetic influencer. What is a synthetic influencer?
There's a lot of avatars now. One of the stats I saw recently is that the majority of content on the internet is AI generated now. So we're already at a point where most of the stuff you look at is AI, generated by AI. So synthetic influencers are basically avatars that look cartoony or real that talk about a subject. And some of these synthetic influencers are doing Instagram accounts and making $10,000 a month by selling advertising by knowing their niche. So you can imagine, and we know people that work with certain real estate companies that are creating Las Vegas, where I live, Las Vegas synthetic influencers to talk about the market. So when somebody wants to go to an Instagram account about Las Vegas real estate, here's where you eat, here's the schools, here's the best area. These non-human synthetic influencers are talking about it, let alone a chatbot that you can talk to and say, I have specific questions. That's coming too.
Wow. It's opening up a new world. Folks, you got to just start really pressing into this, which is really getting into, this is your data, and it's not the property of big developers and tech giants. This is your data, and it's how you own it and distribute it and monetize it. Really is what you're talking about here.
So yes. So where do you, like, we're grounding it at this point. So where do you go from here? And this is not biased. Listen, I've been in tech for a long time. I've worked with $10 billion companies and built businesses. Angel AI is the industry leader in real estate AI tech. You can simply go to Angel AI. You can create an account. You can give your potential borrowers, potential home buyers, you can give them access. They can access the world's knowledge on AI, really curated over 40 years of data, which is what they use to do it. And you can say, help me get my credit better. Help me get a loan. Then, and this is where Pavan and I came together with Twin Protocol, which is a company that I'm a co-founder in, run by a wonderful CEO, Stacy Engel. And Angel AI created Angel Twin, bringing them together. Now you can go to angelai.com/Dave, or whatever your profile is, and you can chat with your twin. We've integrated the twins into Angel AI, so it can be a real estate agent who has a twin, can talk all about mortgages and listings. And if you don't have that, then the borrower is going to go find somebody that does and start talking to them. So you don't need to know tech. The bottom line here, you just need to start with Angel AI. Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you want to start simpler, use LLMs. Just go to ChatGPT and say, write a listing for me. Help me with this email. Tell me about the current mortgage future of the industry. You got to get started somewhere.
Yeah, you talk about decentralized AI as an antidote. Talk about that for our listeners, please.
So we hear the word blockchain a lot, and most people go, oh, you mean Bitcoin. And I'm not going to get into blockchain because I got to be honest with you, most people don't give a damn. I'm a blockchain partner, I'm a blockchain patent holder, and I know it to the nth degree. But blockchain is a database that is not stored on a centralized server, decentralized. What do you mean? I have a friend that works at a big tech company, one of us that probably all of us use. He worked in the Red Flag Center, which they need to have. So if the word dirty bomb shows up or some kind of red flag that somebody uses throughout any part of the platform, email, photos, word processing, spreadsheets. Let's just say Dirty Bomb pops up. At this warehouse of people in the United States that work for a big tech company, they can log into anytime they want all the data across everybody's information, everything they want. They can see it all. They can see all your emails. They can see all your photos. They can see any spreadsheet you did, every document. Centralized big tech has the power to not only see your data, but we've signed user agreements that says in many cases they can use your data. Decentralized means you're leveraging blockchain. That's as far as I'm going to go in the tech side of it. And it's not on a central server. It's spread across multiple servers, stored in blocks, and nobody owns it but you. That's where we need to be. We need to be in a place where our data isn't stored on somebody's centralized server. God knows what they're doing with it. Being hacked, even the governments are being hacked. We need to put it on encrypted technology that we own, nobody can get to.
Yeah.
Decentralized.
Yeah. You talk about the future of intelligence. It's the 3 Ps. It's personal, portable, and profitable. I really love a lot of the insights you're giving us. And you were talking about this is not 10 years out, maybe 10 months out. It's rapidly developing.
It's no joke. This is now. Never in the history of humankind, as far as I know from the history books, have we ever seen a change this rapid. And that part is most scary for everybody. And let me tell you, yes, I'm a tech entrepreneur and I love tech, and I was raised on a Commodore 64 when I was 8 years old. But the bottom line is that you need to know this stuff and you need to get involved because it's really going to change our lives.
So let's get to the practical. Okay, we've talked a lot about the vision, what it can do, educated some, but how do people get started, Bill? Someone's listening and says, I want to get involved, but how do I do it?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about it already. You go to angeltwin.com, you press the button that says create your own twin, and then you walk through the steps of creating your own twin. Okay, so it's built on Go ahead.
That gets a twin created, but then you starting to utilize it. How do we actually get it out and start realizing the benefits of it, where it's actually working for us?
Through the same technology at Angel Twin, on the Angel AI platform, you get a URL that's your URL. Anybody in the world goes to that URL, your cousin or a real estate buyer goes to the URL and they start asking your twin questions. I don't know how to keep it more simpler than that. Okay. So you create a twin, you go to our URL, you give the URL out.
It is that easy because I've done it, and it's just extraordinary. But the question then comes is, but I did put all that data, and I haven't got podcasts, the listener might say. I don't have all this knowledge. Where are they pulling the data from that their twin is talking about?
Yeah, this is really important, and this is where the world needs to really start taking action. Everybody has data that's valuable. Does my grandmother? She hasn't worked for 30 years. She does because she has stories from a legacy twin perspective, and I do this with my own mom. It's important to start recording grandma's stories so that and her voice, so that later on that wisdom can be passed down. You probably had a wonderful grandparents, and I know I did as well. Yeah. I wish I could have Grandpa Chuck guiding me on some of the, like I said, newfangled. He used to say that all the time. But he also gave me words of wisdom as a successful entrepreneur that I can't remember as much as I'd really love to. Yeah. So let me give you an example. One of the people that work at Twin, Curtis, his dad wrote a book. He was the first presidential helicopter pilot of Army One. He flew Nixon when Nixon was in front of the helicopter leaving the White House, for example.
Wow.
Gene is his name. I know him. This is my friend that works with us at the company. Gene passed about 7 years ago, but we had a video of his voice and like him talking. So Gene wrote a book, and it had stories about Nixon and Eisenhower and Ford, because he flew all those guys on the helicopter. I won't say which one, you have to read the book, but Gene hit bad weather, dropped like 50 feet quick, and one of the presidents had to relieve themselves in their pants. So we ingested Gene's book. We took that video and he passed 7 years ago. We put his voice in there, and now not only can Curtis, his son, talk to Gene, and say, Dad, tell me a story about Ford or Kennedy or Nixon. But the world now has access to that knowledge base. So we have to start collecting the stories.
Oh, that's sure, so
Gene wrote a book. The stories are there. But you know how much our grandparents and our parents love to talk about stories, and we want to tell stories. We have to start recording that information on a personal level and putting it into our AI so we have generational legacy of our wisdom. Wow. We don't do, and especially in America, we're not good about recording the legacy of people. Other cultures story tell, they're great at it. Americans are not. So we need to start doing that on a base level. Any questions on that before I can
No,
give
that's
you
really good. So the best way to do that is just start recording, turn on the recorder, or have the dictation software running, whether it be Otter AI or one of those. Which would you recommend for them to start recording their stories?
I use Otter. So you mentioned Otter, OTTER.ai. I have no affiliation with them. What is that? You record voices and it goes speech to text, and it's pretty darn accurate.
Yeah.
So what we do at Angel Twin and Twin Protocol is we take PDFs of all this knowledge base and we ingest it into the Twin. So you can just simply upload. Long story short, you upload a document. Now we have things coming where you talk to it, you respond to SMSs, we read your email, all stored decentralized, so you own it, you keep it. All that becomes your knowledge base. And I have hard drives from when I was a kid that I knew I kept for a reason. All those things will go back. We also have ingestion. It's called ingesting data. We also have a new feature where it looks at a picture, it turns it into a text description. You're at the beach. You seem to be happy. You're wearing a purple shirt. Looks like your cousin's in it. You're at the beach a lot. So we're ingesting pics. So remember the other day when I showed you your LinkedIn profile being ingested? Yes. We're very close to going to an Instagram, which is not a lot of text. It reads all the pictures and you can talk to somebody's Instagram. So we're super excited about that for social, for dating, for understanding people. And your twins will talk to one another and you'll basically make a new friends. Your twin will make a new friend for you and come back and go, I think I found your next best friend kind of approach.
That's amazing. That is just amazing. Yeah. It's so exciting where we're heading with all of this. And it's coming that fast. You said literally within months it's here. And some of it's already here and practical and available. Like what I saw, we're launching that, listeners. You're going to be able to, if you want to inquire about that, you're going to be able to go to my twin and ask about warehouse lending, how to start a mortgage company, all the things. I've been coaching on this for decades. And I've been living it before that as an owner of my own companies. Now that knowledge is going in there with my voice. It'll be able to be available past. I hope to live a long time, but if I didn't, at least my kids could go and say, what did Grandpa do? Or my grandkids, what did Grandpa do? I want to learn more about what he did. What did he sound like? Can you imagine that what this does for recording the stories and hearing? I mean, I'm thinking my dad, and mom and dad, how much I would love that. And my grandparents, my granddad on my mom's side was an amazing storyteller. And I wished now I can vaguely remember what his voice sounds like, but it fades. But now we'll have it. It's just amazing what
I'm the same way, Dave. I think we need to, on their behalf, start thinking of those stories and putting it in for them at some point. And we'll be able to take the pictures and the home movies and things like that and get a lot out of that. But unfortunately, until cell phone cameras, which spawned a whole bunch of worldwide changes, just cameras alone, on equality and things like that, there wasn't a lot of data. We had the old Polaroids, the negatives. We didn't have a lot of tapes. We had the old 8mm cams. I'm ingesting all that stuff as best I can, and I have ones from 20 years ago that are on magnetic tape that don't last that long, so I'm like rushing to get it all. But to keep things simple for people, everybody's data is valuable in this. And when we move towards AI, what do you love to do in life? You could love real estate. You could love lending. It could make the money in the world. Awesome. That's probably why you're in the business. Make sure your twin is relevant and people are accessing it. Like me, I loved being, my daughter's 26 now. It's her birthday yesterday. But 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, before she was a college athlete, we went through the whole process of how did we get her ready to go to Cal to be a beach volleyball player, and what was the process? So if you love something and you're in something, it doesn't just have to be work. For me, there's a lot of parents in me like, how do I get my kid to play college sports? I have a ton of stuff that my twin could tell them about how to do that. Whatever you love to do, you start recording it in audio, you write about it, and that's going to be the data that you use to disseminate to the world for people to find you and pay you.
Wow. Amazing. This is just getting so exciting as I start looking at the future. I'm 74 years old. I want to live for another 25 years, just be able, or longer, to be able to use all these amazing new tools. Bill, this is fascinating. I'm so excited.
First of all, 74, you are in amazing shape, Dave. I've seen you in person. Good for you. I knock on wood. Another AI stat. It's a little hard to believe, but probably true. Wherever you're at health-wise at 2050 is where you're going to be forever. They plan to solve a lot of the world's major. You can't jump off a cliff,
right?
But they plan to solve a lot of the world's major diseases within 5 to 10 years, Dave, and those aren't going to be an issue. So stay in shape. I know you'll have energy in 2050. you might be able to live a lot longer than 25 years, Dave.
That's the part that gets exciting. I just saw a Facebook post this morning when I was doing some reading on some posts on Friends, and they now have a drug that can erase the effects of a stroke. And that's one of the things at my age I started getting. It literally erases you. This drug will bring you back from a stroke that fast, fully back.
I could have used that 20 years ago for my grandma. Both my grandmothers had problems. Of course, they were smokers, and I wouldn't say they had the best diet. So it starts with that, but incredible.
Yeah, we've got new technology. It's an exciting new world we're living in. Any other things that we need to know about before we wrap this up?
I'm happy to come back, Dave. Every day I'm talking to. I'm lucky enough to be in position to talk to some of the world's smartest people about this stuff. And like you, I love talking to people. And like you as well, I just want to share that knowledge with the world to help people. It's just my destiny. And so I'd love to come back. I definitely, listen, it's not self-promotion. I definitely think that you go to Angel AI and Angel Twin and you get on this boat and you just learn about it. If you don't like it, then go find something else similar. It's all good. Just do something with AI that every single day that can move you forward.
Absolutely. Great suggestion. I'll say this. Pavan's not only an advertiser on my podcast, he is a dear close friend. I work with him on so many aspects of what he's doing. And you're right. He doesn't need to be doing this. He's already wildly successful. Most people, why does Donald Trump want to be the president of the United States? He wants to be an influencer and make a difference. That's exactly what Pavan is doing. He is making a difference through technology, and I'm so thrilled that you and he have teamed up together. Can't wait to see what you have coming up here around the corner. Let's get this up and running for our listeners, and then we'll have you back, and you can help us through the next door.
I'd be glad to be back. I just appreciate your energy so much, Dave, and what you're doing. Through Pavan, I met you and made a great new friend, and I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Say hi to Holly. It's a joy to meet you, and I just love the people you hang with. It's exciting stuff. Thank you, Bill, for being here.
Thanks, Dave.
How can people learn more about you?
Listen, if you want to get me directly and understand where I'm coming from, go to BillInman.com. I post blogs about my AI experiences all the time, but I'm partnered with Pavan at AngelTwin.com. You can go there as well.
You're good. We can ask you questions there too. I love it. Very good.
My twin's ready for anything. Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for being here, Bill. Appreciate it.
Talk soon.
Sponsors: Byte Software, Finastra, Angel AI, True, Candid, as well as the Mortgage Bankers Association of America, Lenders One, the Mortgage Collaborative, Modex, Redder, Knowledge Coop, Mortgage Advisory Tools, and Fuel. So glad to have their sponsors. Thank you for listening to this episode. Want your feedback? If you like it, share and subscribe. Appreciate you all. Have a great day.